And during those 4 weeks, it was some of the lowest points, if not the lowest point in my life. I was lost. I couldn't even get through like the intro of myself without just weeping. I went through what you call the research phase. I looked into all kinds of other different programs, options. I spent more time on podcasts, spot anything you could listen to or consume, I was doing it. And that's when I stumbled across the book. It wasn't about convincing or trying to change her. It's about changing, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be better for it. I needed some more than just being able to watch something. I needed to be interacting. It couldn't just be one way of me interacting with the screen. It had to be actual conversations and growth and finding a way to measure progress. Or she said, I've had a lot of time to think about what I want in life, and what I want is you. We've gone on a vacation already together again as a family, and that was awesome. And we've gone on dates. We're planning one of the topics that kept coming up is, well, we screwed up. We bought this house. We've changed our lives so much. This probably isn't going to work. We probably just need to figure out a way to bite the bullet and get out of this house. Well, now we're making it a home. There is hope. There are ways to get better, and also that you can save your marriage. You can make yourself a better person. You can save your family. That it's not easy, but put in the work, that it is all achievable. And that whatever you're going through right now, it sucks. It's not something I would wish on my worst enemy, but don't give up.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. So we have Ethan here with us today, and just wanted to get his authentic story and have him share a message of hope and the success that he's seen over here at the Heroic Husband and the Turnaround Program. And just gonna want to kind of get straight into it. So, Ethan, what was happening in your marriage when that kind of made you look for help?
I So when I was looking for help, she'd separated, I say that term with quotations, for about 4 weeks. It was pretty well defined that we weren't together. And during those 4 weeks, it was some of the lowest points, if not the lowest point in my life. I was lost. I went through what you call the research phase. I looked into all kinds of other different programs, options. I spent more time on podcasts, anything you could listen to or consume, I was doing it. And that's when I stumbled across the book. So I read the book and kept debating on off and on, should I do this program? I think it would give me what I need, and is is that what I need? What do I need to do? But then it came to me, sort of based off what the book says, am I willing to do anything and everything to save my marriage? And absolutely yes. 100% yes. But so that's sort of what led me to this point, and or led me to joining the program. And at that point, I mean, in our first conversation, or like in our first Voxers, I couldn't even get through like the intro of myself without just weeping because of like how much it hurt at the time. But I, I'm not the same person I was when that all was happening, I guess 10 weeks ago.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll kind of get into that because you kind of just like took off. So, but like, so was it? So basically, you're to that point where you're grieving, you're processing, and you're like, okay, um, I need to do something. Like you read the book. So what was that ultimate deciding point where you were like, all right, I read the book. Now it's time to join the program, the turnaround program.
So I kept watching all of your YouTube videos too. I was consuming those already while watching the book, and I was trying to put those into practice, and they're very helpful. But I felt like I needed some more than just being able to watch something. I needed to be interacting. It couldn't just be one way of me interacting with the screen. It had to be actual conversations and growth, and finding a way to measure progress or change. And the turnaround program has definitely provided that. I mean, it's given me like, I guess, step by step of progress or visible progress. I'm someone who is very visual with learning, and like it's one of the reasons like I love mowing the grass. I can see immediately what I've done. And this is sort of given a clear way to see progress happening.
Awesome. I love it. Now, since you were in like massive research mode, what stood out to you that made our approach different than anything that you've seen or tried?
It wasn't about convincing or trying to change her. It's about changing me and controlling what I can control. And that's who I am and how I show up every day. And that's really what stood out, and just sort of the overall, I guess, message that regardless if I did this and went through the turnaround program, regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be better for it. And that's unlike some of the other things I'd come across online. They were, this quick, just do these few things and she'll come crawling back to you. And that seemed cheesy and fake. And from everything I mean, yeah, if it worked, that'd be great, but that just didn't seem like a realistic possibility. And that's where the authenticity of the turnaround program comes in.
I love it. I love it. Like I always tell you guys, it's everyone's always focusing on like what to say and the convincing, and we do give you scripts and stuff like that, right? But it's how you say it. That's what actually penetrates, and that's what turns you undeniable, irresistible, and irreplaceable. So, okay, man. So then, what were the results that you've achieved since joining the turnaround program?
So, firstly, a lot more confidence in who I am as a person, and just in what I and clarity of what I want out of life. And though that's still being shaped, I have a much more clear direction of how I want to get there and my purpose. But also just a lot more consistency and structure in my own life, and feeling more grounded and having a better understanding of who I am, but also how my interactions with my wife and other people work. Just the psychological stuff you talk about throughout the modules and mention, it just it's helpful to understand not only what I'm going through or went through, but also what how other people perceive what you say and what you do.
Okay. Now, what are the results that you're seeing within your marriage now that you're applying that?
So after, I guess, probably close to 3 months of separation where we weren't no contact. I mean, we were still sleeping in the same bed, but we were roommates.
Hmm.
And she also travels for work frequently and was not around for 80% of that separation. So when we were seeing each other, we would talk and things, but it was obviously full of tension. But on New Year's Eve, she surprised me and came home, and from there, reconnection started, I guess, after roughly 4 or 5 weeks in the program. And from there, we've been rebuilding and working on ourselves and just getting back to us, but a better version of us. And we've since then, over the course of January and now into February, we've just things have been progressing, and we are we're I guess the real moment is for me was when she said, I've had a lot of time to think about what I want in life, and what I want is you.
I love that. I love that. Now, because I remember reading that Ring the Bell, and I was like, "That's huge." And I remember we even voxed about it a little bit. I'm like, "Hey, look, man, don't don't undervalue yourself. It's all the work that you've put in up until that point, right? So, removing the pressure, making sure that we, are contained, breaking those patterns, we break down the ICT, everything like that, right? And then we create that emotionally healing environment. So when she came to you on New Year's, how did that feel? Like, just kind of like, what was that moment like where you were just like, what the fuck? Like, like what happened?
Yeah, so it was sort of a case of where things were I could tell it was different, but then all of the sudden a switch flipped and we couldn't get off one of another, and connection started from there. And that's when I, I I don't know, it was weeks upon weeks of just built up sexual tension, and it came out. And then from there, it was like, whoa, this is the person I want to be with. And I didn't ever doubt that for a second, but it was possibly that day is probably one of the better days I've had in my entire life.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, were you expecting that? Like, what were you expecting going into the turnaround program versus, like, what actually unfolded?
So I had hope the entire time, but I also, through your guidance, you got to temper that hope a little bit. You keep the hope and keep that as the a purpose, but you know that's that can't be the end all be all. It's got to be about changing who you are or who I am. Um, can you rephrase the question? I lost
Yeah.
in train of thought.
No, you're good, man. So, with everything that you saw, right, when
Okay.
you were going in, what did you expect versus, like, what happened on New Year's and what you're seeing now?
So, I mean, I was hopeful that maybe by the end of this, we might at least be able to have good dialogue and conversations with each other, and could possibly explore the possibility of getting back together. Never did I think that just a few weeks in, we would be back together. I mean, things are perfect and we're still working on things, but uh, when we are around each other, we're around each other. We don't spend a whole lot of time apart other than, nightly reading or just getting a little bit of time to ourselves. But every decision we make is now together. We've gone on a vacation already together again as a family, and that was awesome. And we've gone on dates. We're planning the future. And at one point, we thought we were going to. We moved right before all of this, and the chaos of moving sort of spurred our separation and sort of brought it to light. But and during the separation, one of the topics that kept coming up is, well, we screwed up. We bought this house. We've changed our lives so much. This probably isn't going to work. We probably just need to figure out a way to bite the bullet and get out of this house. Well, now we're making it a home. We've been working on projects and trying to make it what we want, and it's been awesome.
I love
So
that, man. That's a
yeah,
that's a renaissance man right there for you. That's a
yeah,
renaissance man right there. Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so then what would be the I would say, yeah, what would be the top 3 things that you learned that basically changed, like, how you thought about everything?
Just being grounded and the overall concept of containment. That one of my bleeding points and something I have to, I guess put some effort into to make sure that it doesn't come up anymore, and is I don't fall back into old patterns, is actively listening. But just because something is said does not mean I have to respond to it. I can acknowledge it, but I don't have to solve a problem. I can just acknowledge that I hear what's going on, and that not everything has to be fixed there then and there. And doing that in general has made a world of difference, of just being able to receive what information is being told to me, and allowing her to vent and let her emotions flow without me having to mirror them, which was something I would do in the past. She would be upset, and then I would eat, I would, just sort of fall into that with her, and we'd both be upset. And then that's being too feminine. Uh, the whole polarity dynamic doesn't exist if we're both in our feminine. And just being able to contain and stay grounded and not, I guess, overextend or have a better presence of mind of who I am as a man. So I guess that's one. And then thinking about other things that have been the active listening but that's another thing that sort of goes along with that is I was terrible at interrupting in any conversations we would have because I'd want to provide a solution. She mentioned something and I thought I could fix it right then and there, but a lot of times I've through your guidance I've learned that she isn't looking for a solution. She just wants to be heard. And also learning how to regulate my own emotions and realizing that I am going through these things, but just because I'm going through them doesn't mean that I can't process them and do it on not on my own, but that it doesn't have I don't have to wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I shouldn't be. As the leader of the house, that's not how it's done. That's not the example that I set forth for my children, and it's not how I lead my marriage by falling into emotional turmoil or I guess being overly emotional. But that doesn't mean that I'm also just a wall either.
Exactly. Yeah.
So trying to find that balance has been very, very helpful because I didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely was mirroring her emotions and oftentimes anytime I'd become a complainer as a person and just woe is me, but the programs helped me see that life's pretty good and that I that everything around me I have what I want in life. Though I can certainly set goals and try to achieve more, I do have what I want.
I love it. I love it, man. So then what would be the biggest thing that surprised you about this process?
The amount of how quickly you can see the results from the work. That there is a good deal of work, but it all goes together and has purpose. Fixing and working on myself first and trying to emotionally heal the damage that I'd caused myself and her. And by fixing myself first, then realizing, oh wait, if I'm repaired, that means I can actually go into our relationship as a stable point and a point to build off on. And you can't build something on shaky ground, and I was shaky ground. So that's been definitely very instrumental.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I love that you're really you especially like, I've used you as examples a lot, and I've used, like, you, I've used Todd, I've used some other people, just, like, when you just sit down this is a lifestyle, that's the thing, right? The whole thing about, like, the quick fix tactic stuff is, like, the way that we set it up, it compounds, right? Like, literally, there's momentum, there's movement, there's everything built in within the system, even if you're no contact, even if and you guys could go look at the other interviews, but, like, all you have to do is just get out of your own way, realize that there is a process, and then just really surrender into the work. So I love that you've just taken that and you just went. Phew. So now, what was the biggest challenge that you faced during the program?
The biggest challenge, I guess, is that it is work that you have to do yourself. Nobody can do it for you. And a lot of times that means looking in the mirror and it sucks. And
Mhm.
it's quite literally at times looking in the mirror as one of the mirror exercises, man in the mirror exercise. But that actually from reading the book, that that you mentioned it in the book and I did it, and that made me realize I didn't like who I was looking at. And that hit hard that if if I don't like me, who else could like me? And that was one of working on realizing that you are the one that has to do the work and nobody else can do it for you. That's definitely one of the hardest points, but it's also been now with where I am and just who I feel as I am as a person. It's the most rewarding because I made these changes. With your with your guidance and help, I did it, but it was me through the program, putting
Exactly.
in the time and the effort and the work that I've gotten to this point. I
Mhm.
still have a lot of long ways to go, but I've done this for me and my family, which was when I started this, the goal. I mean, I wanted to be a better version of myself for me, for my kids, and for my wife.
Love it, man. And yeah, like I'm basically your Jiminy Cricket. You know what I mean? I'm your you got me on Voxer in your pocket. I wish, I don't even know if you want me on your shoulder. I don't even know if I want to be on your shoulder, but we do the best that we can, right?
Well, you
So
said you're kind of heavy, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm 6'7", so I don't think you want that.
No, no, no. I'm
But yeah,
good.
no, it's all you. It's all you guys. That's the thing. That's why I tell you guys, you got to double down. Like I'm here to guide you and anything, but like literally, this is all you. So congratulations, man. Love it. Love it. Now, what do you think about Noah's feedback style and the action steps that he gives? And that's me.
Yeah. Uh, the feedback style blunt, is to the point. You don't sugarcoat anything. You tell it how it is, and that's what people. That's what men in this predicament need. You don't need to be coddled. I didn't need to be coddled. I needed cold hard facts and reality, and it it takes some getting used to, but it's what's needed at the time. And the action steps, a lot of them are tough, and for those who are considering joining the program, you may not always want to do them, but that's where the real growth is actually doing the action steps. You can think about it,
Mhm.
but it's actually doing it where the real internal mental growth is.
Yeah. That's what makes you undeniable, man. Everyone's always about the having. Everyone's always focused on have, right? But you forget the 2 steps that come before that, and we talk about this, right? Doing to become so that the byproduct is a have. Love it, man. Love it. Now, what would be your main takeaway from, like, the heroic husband as a whole? What is just your main takeaway?
Through internal growth, you can reach your goals. That by changing who you are and becoming the best version of yourself, you can achieve what you want. And it's it's not an easy road and it's not simple, but it you can gain clarity on what you want in life and also realize that no matter what, you are better for doing the program.
Love it. Love it. Now we just have a couple more questions, just a few, like about 4, and then we'll wrap up. Now, would you recommend this program to other men?
Absolutely 100% without a doubt.
Who would you specifically who do you think specifically should join the program, and then why would you tell them to join?
I actually, something that I think I saw on the board at one point that's someone who is not actually separated. They just were going through maybe a rough patch in their marriage, but they realized they needed help. I would actually advise this for newlyweds. I think it would be, and, and it's for men, everybody, there's always room for growth. That that's part of the human condition. There is no, as humans, we are always trying to evolve and grow. That from just someone who is embarking on the journey of life with another human, this program is beneficial. For those who are going through a tough time, this program is beneficial. For those who are at their lowest point, this program is what you need. I I've never felt as alone as I did before starting this. And through the growth and support of the community, through your guidance on Voxer and one-on-ones, through hot seats and Q&As, it make you aren't alone, but it also, because you can see that there are other guys who are going through exactly what you're going through, that also a lot of times it gives you a point of view where maybe your situation isn't as bad as some other guys. That maybe that there's some really tough situations out there that people are going through, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that seeing other people doing exactly the same thing that you are is really helpful and beneficial. Just to know that the in the heroic husband brotherhood there is support, and that everybody wants to see everyone succeed.
Mhm. Yeah. We boost each other up. I love it, man. I love it. Now, what are your final thoughts on Noah or the program?
Uh, the program's awesome, and like I said, I would recommend this to really anyone that is in a relationship with another human being. That the self growth and just awareness that it gives you for how you are and how you interact with other humans, with other people, uh, is really beneficial. And your style and the way that you lay out these modules is like there's so much. It's clear that there's a ton of thought and effort put into putting out good content and making sure that it's worthwhile, and that the work has been already done on the back end by you. And it's just that you have to be willing to take the time, make the effort to make it worth it for you to go through it. But no, you as a coach and you as a leader of this group of men is incredible. And you've done an excellent job with all of it. I could not recommend it enough.
I appreciate it. Okay, well, that's all the questions I have for you. Now, if you want, just take some time, and if you want to tell the audience or anybody that's watching this and give them a little message of hope, or if you even want to, if you could talk to yourself back when you were starting this, what would you say?
When I was doing the introductory call with a member of your team, I found myself even just weeping to that team member because I was in such a broken and emotional place. I had thought that I was doing better, but at the time, I mean, I didn't have a clear purpose of direction other than I knew that I didn't want to keep feeling that way. But there is hope. There are ways to get better, and also that you can save your marriage. You can make yourself a better person. You can save your family. That it's not easy, but put in the work, that it is all achievable. And that whatever you're going through right now, it sucks. It sucks. It's not something I would wish on my worst enemy, but don't give up.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for the time, Nathan, and I really appreciate it. And we'll just cut out right now.
Thanks, John.